I just asked through my website for the American people to send me information on what is going on in their lives with regard to prescription drugs. Every so often we do that. We send out an email and we do Facebook. We say, tell me, what is going on with regard to your life and prescription drugs? Not surprisingly, the vast majority of the comments that I receive from all over this country are from people who are outraged by the high cost of prescription drugs in this country, a cost which is going up every single day. People are walking into their pharmacies today and seeing the price of the medicine they've had for 20 years double for no explanation other than the fact that the drug companies can do it, are doing it, so they can make outrageous profits. We pay in this country the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Senator Isaacson talked about the terrible diseases facing our kids. He is right. But do you know that there are thousands of people in this country every year who are dying because they cannot afford to pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs? While last year the pharmaceutical industry made $50 billion in profit, top 5 companies, $50 billion in profit, 1 out of 5 people in this country, Senator Isaacson, when they go to the doctor's office and they get a prescription, you know what? They can't afford to fill that prescription. Talk to the doctors in Georgia. Talk to the doctors in Tennessee. And what they will tell you is, yeah, we write out the prescriptions, but working class people can't afford to fill them. We have received letters from oncologists all over this country who tell us their cancer patients cannot afford the outrageously high cost of the medicine people need to stay alive. Maybe, just maybe, it might be time for the United States Senate to stand up to the pharmaceutical industry and all of their lobbyists here and all of their campaign contributions and say we're going to stand with the American people who are sick and tired of being ripped off by the drug companies. Let me just read a few. I'm not going to read you 1,000 letters. Just a few to get an indication of what's going on in America. Mark from Plainville, Connecticut, wrote to us that his drug for Crohn's disease went up from $75 a month to $700 a month. Anyone here concerned about that? And he's worried that he may die. This is what he writes to me. I am no longer treating my Crohn's disease. I'm in a lot of pain and will eventually develop colorectal cancer and die. I am 39 with a wife and 2 daughters. We simply cannot afford this medication any longer. I've had to leave my job and I'm now trying to freelance from home with no success for 4 months. Our home is about to be foreclosed. Is that of interest to my Republican friends, or is that not important? Amanda from Bartlesville, Oklahoma, shared this story of her husband's gout medication. He pays more than $300 a month for a medicine that was $4 in 2010. Maybe somebody can explain to me how a medicine was $4 in 2010 and $300 a month now. He is now disabled because he cannot afford the medicine he needs. Heather in Taos, New Mexico, she writes she cannot afford her EpiPen. We've heard a whole lot about the high price of EpiPen. She said, I basically haven't had one in years that's not expired. Just hope I don't get stung or I will die, end of quote. John in Anchor Point, Alaska, cannot afford his insulin, which jumped from $1,400 to $1,600. He said, quote, I skipped buying groceries when picking up meds, went home and scraped by, sold possessions to make ends meet so we could buy food. Jerry from Lincoln, Nebraska, cannot afford gabapentin for shingles. It was $35. It's now $75. Trish from New Jersey stopped taking, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, well, her breast cancer medication because it went from $25 to $225 a month for 3 months. 3 months supply. Anyone concerned about that? Of course we want new drugs to cure diseases, but those new drugs won't do anybody any good if people can't afford them. Mr. President, we have seen scandal after scandal in the last few months and years. Gilead sold Sovaldi, a drug for hepatitis C, for $1,000 a pill. Mylan raised EpiPen prices by 500% over the last several years to more than $600. Martin Shkreli raised the price of Daraprim, a life-saving AIDS medication, by 5,000%. Are we concerned about that? I would hope some of us are. Mr. President, while nearly 1 in 5 Americans can't afford to fill their prescriptions, the top 5 drug companies made a combined $50 billion in profits last year. There are many reasons why we pay such outrageous prices, but one reason is we continue passing laws written by the pharmaceutical industry and their lobbyists year after year after year. I believe that the American people should know that the pharmaceutical industry has spent more than $3 billion on lobbying since 1998. How's that? Democracy at work. Drug companies charge us the highest prices in the world, and the pharmaceutical industry spends $3 billion on lobbying. They're all over these places. Well-priced lobbyists try to get us to pass pharma legislation. Just last year, the pharmaceutical industry spent $250 million on lobbying and campaign contributions and employs some 1,400 lobbyists. Maybe the working families of this country need some protection against these lobbyists. Mr. President, I certainly want to do everything I can to see that this country comes forward with cures to children's diseases and diseases that impact so many Americans of all ages. But we have got to have the courage to start taking on the pharmaceutical industry and representing the American people.
Did you know that we spend by far more money per person on healthcare than any other country on earth? Which, by the way, includes all of the countries that have universal healthcare, which we here in America sadly do not have. And as a result, we unfortunately lose a lot of people per year due to lack of health coverage, which is completely unacceptable. If so many other countries around the world are able to guarantee healthcare to all of their people as a right while spending significantly less, we should be able to too. But, inexcusably, far too much of our healthcare spending goes to the health insurance and drug companies as opposed to actual care for the American people. Healthcare should not be about drug companies and health insurance companies making huge profits. Rather, healthcare should be about ensuring the well-being of our people. That is the morally right thing to do. So yes, we do need to lower the cost of prescription drugs in this country, and it's time our representatives in Washington finally understand this as well.